Today I'd like to look at the Force Awakens Han Solo figure from Hasbro's 6-inch Black Series line. And the thing about this figure is I ordered it in December, actually. Pre-ordered it online. And it, took forever. And eventually I found this particular figure at a local Target. And I ended up canceling my pre-order. And that's well after I think a lot of people have already found this figure. This is not a particularly new figure at this point anymore. And that kind of is frustrating for me because if I just try and find them in the stores, then I'm stuck going around looking, all the time. And it's been pretty disappointing because it's very difficult to find any of the new or more sought-after figures in the stores here. Or if I pre-order it, it still takes forever, and half the time I end up finding it in the stores before I get the pre-order anyway. Either way, it doesn't work very well, and it's kind of turning me off a little bit to collecting these figures. These are the only figures, the only line of figures, I guess, that I actually am collecting at the moment. So, yeah, it's frustrating. But in any case, we have here good old Han. We've got black and white drawing of Harrison Ford on the front. I'm not totally sold on the likeness here, frankly. Now, Harrison Ford, of course, is notoriously difficult to capture, both in drawing and in sculptures, so it's alright. It's not that big of a deal, but looks a little off to me. This is number 18, and on the back it says, "The exploits of Han Solo are legendary. He's been a famed smuggler, captain of the Millennium Falcon, and a hero of the Rebel Alliance. As the galaxy teeters towards war, Solo once again finds himself in the center of the action." So, what I'd like to do is get him out of the package and get a closer look at him. Also make a little comparison between this figure and the previous Han Solo figure that they have released in the Black Series. And here's good old Han, emphasis on the old, out of the box. And, yeah, this is a really nice looking figure, actually. That's my first impression. They really managed to capture his face really well. Let's get a closer look at that. I think that is an excellent sort of older Harrison Ford sculpt. Now, I imagine this is a 3D scan, actually, which might help explain how it's so accurate. But, yeah, it's really good. I think even the eye paint, which is it's kind of basic, still looks decent. I don't know if you can see on camera or not, but it's fine. Now, the one sort of controversial aspect of this is that his hair is not as gray as Harrison Ford's was in the actual film. It seemed, they did try to make it somewhat gray. It looks as though they've made it a base of a kind of a reddish brown and then added some gray on top of it. Really, it should be essentially all gray. Some people have painted that. I might do that, I don't know. But it doesn't look bad at all. My only complaint here, looking at it now, is this. His hand is in this permanent gripping position for no apparent reason, because, you don't really need two gripping hands, it seems to me. What is he supposed to be gripping here? The other hand has the sort of trigger finger, so you're going to want to put the blaster in that hand. This one looks like he's got arthritis, which maybe, maybe that's appropriate for old Han. I don't know, but it would have been better, I think, with just sort of an open hand there. Now he's got the blaster. Now I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me if this is actually supposed to be the same blaster that he had in A New Hope. You may remember that in Empire Strikes Back, and I think in Return of the Jedi, he actually had a different model of blaster, but this one looks like the one from A New Hope pretty much exactly. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. He has a working holster here that the blaster can go into. That's a nice touch. Although, there we go. I don't know. I think, yeah, the scope is supposed to go on the outside there. That looks nice. And one other thing I like about a lot of these figures that they're doing is that they have the separate sort of clothing. Gives it a sense of realism, you know, because there's more layers there. He does turn sort of in the mid abdomen there, and seems to have pretty much the same articulation that you'd get in any other Black Series figure. Now what I wanted to do was to compare this with the Smuggler Han figure, which is right here. And, you know, they do have pretty similar outfits in some ways, especially the belt. The blasters are very similar. They are not the same sculpt, though. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to... Well, let's give it a try. See if we can get that to show up on camera. So as you can see, these are two very similar blasters. I'm not entirely sure if they're supposed to be the same blaster, but they are definitely the same model of blaster, I would think. However, it's not the same sculpt. They haven't just reused it for whatever reason. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just reuse it, frankly, but they did not. If you look at the length of the scope, for example, the one on top is the Force Awakens version, the one on the bottom is the Smuggler Han version. You can see that there's different lengths, different paint jobs, different small details, so it's all different. So if we make a bit more of a detailed comparison, you notice that they have similar belts and holsters here, although the original Smuggler Han had a little strap that went down and, you know, sort of kept the gun in place, although friction does that too. So it's a different design there. They also gave him a much more natural hand, going along with what I was talking about earlier. This one, you know, looks like the old kung fu grip kind of thing. Does not look natural at all if he's just posed. I almost want to try and replace this hand with something else. This looks so much better and more natural. Aside from that, the main thing I probably want to focus on is the faces. This one, I think this is a fine sculpt, but style-wise, this is very much a sort of cartoony version of Han, or a caricature of Han. It looks, you know, I could see this being almost in an animated show or something, whereas this looks more or less like a realistic version of Harrison Ford as Han Solo. I would go, you know, this is the one I would prefer, frankly, this style. But there's nothing really wrong with that. The only problem is, what I don't like is having two kind of wildly different styles mixed in the same line. So it makes it a little difficult to have them together, you know, display them together and stuff. I doubt if anyone else is going to really care about it aside from me, but I don't know. I do feel that they are a little bit of a different style. Aside from that, I would say, yeah, this is a good figure. The only complaint is this hand, but other than that, the paint is good, the sculpt is good. I would say if you can find this, go ahead and pick it up. He's certainly, maybe in a way, the most important character in Force Awakens, especially, spoiler alert, given, you know, how he dies in the movie, and so we're presumably not going to be seeing him, at least not in, you know, a non-flashback kind of role in or as a, you know, like another actor playing him, maybe as a young Han Solo. We're not going to be seeing him in the subsequent Star Wars films, so he's definitely an important character. And he has honestly a bigger role than I thought he would in the movie, especially compared to like Leia and especially Luke. So I was definitely happy to be able to find him. I'd be interested to know what you guys feel about this figure, or what you feel about how they treated Han in the movie. Were you upset or or even happy about it. I mean, a lot of people, it's been kind of polarizing. People have different ideas about it. Personally, well, I'm always of the opinion that it would be kind of nicer not to have a main character like this die, but on the other hand, I can think definitely from a dramatic point of view, it gives the character of Kylo Ren a lot more kind of gravity, I guess. It makes him seem more like a tragic figure and more interesting as a character, certainly. So we'll see how that develops, but yeah, I mean, I guess I'm okay with him dying, although I'm not exactly happy about it. That's all for this time. We'll see you again soon.